All right, we've got Jessie Reimers. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you on the podcast. And this is a podcast where we share opinions, and it's called Permission to be Powerful, which is something that we're super passionate about. Well, I'm super passionate about. And from what I've learned about you in the chat that we had just before the call, that you are as well. So you've got the Focal House, which sounds like it's an event center that you've put together. It sounds incredible. There's all sorts of things. There's podcasting workspaces and lots of really cool community events. And I think that's something that's been really missing. And you've been in business for 9 years, and you've had the dōTERRA model, and it's multiple seven figures, which I just want to commend you for, because I know how business hard is. I work with businesses all the time, and I work with people, and it's not for everybody. But when somebody nails it, I just super proud of you for what you've done and where you've come from. So first off, before you introduce yourself, I want to hear your bad joke.
My little sister always told this joke when we were kids, and she thought it was hilarious. Why does the mermaid have a red bottom?
Why does the mermaid have a red bottom?
Because she wipes her bottom with sandpaper.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a decent bad joke. So if you want to introduce yourself now to the people so they can hear it from your words and the way you like to say it to the world.
Sure thing. Hi guys, I'm Jessie Reimers. I have two sons, and my partner Jack has two sons. So we've got four boys between us, which is a busy household when we have them all. I started my dōTERRA business 9 years ago and went from Centrelink to six figures in less than a year, six figures profit, and to seven figures profit in less than 2.5 years. I was the youngest in the world to achieve that, which was pretty amazing. And I've helped lots of other people create a side stream of income and replace and multiply full-time incomes as well, which is my biggest passion. It's one thing to achieve something myself and have that change my life, but when I'm able to empower others to change their lives, that's something that I really love. I started getting into the health and wellness space because my personal health was horrendous. I had a lot of gut health issues. I had autoimmune challenges. I'm also diagnosed with high functioning Asperger's or autism, ASD1. So I experienced a lot of panic attacks and severe anxiety and social anxiety as a young person, especially teenager and in my early 20s. And I got frustrated with mainstream medicine basically telling me food has nothing to do with my symptoms, it's all in my head, take antidepressants and sleeping pills. Yeah, like nothing that they were giving me was really helping or making a difference. So I started to do my own research. I started to study natural medicine, and I've become really, really passionate about basically teaching people the opposite of what the government tells us to do to be healthy. And so yeah, that's kind of the like premise of my business, is being a beacon of hope for people that are struggling with their physical or emotional health, and also that are frustrated with working a job they hate, or trying to create a business that's leaving them time poor and stressed and not fully financially free. So that's a little snapshot.
It's a good snapshot. And from what I've spoken, because for those who are listening, I've never actually met you before, but I have heard whispers of you through the community, and people speak highly of you. So that tells me that you are being a beacon of hope, and the fact that your business is making money tells me that it's serving. So thanks. Now you spoke about you're passionate about health and wellness for people, and food is medicine, and that's something that myself and my fiance also agree. Whenever there's something going on with us, even if it's emotional, there is a link to the gut there. Is
Mm-hmm.
there anything else that you're passionate about? Like what? Let's get down into the deep and curly. Like and on here, you can swear, you can cry, you can get angry, you can do whatever you need to do. We really just want to get that opinion out there, because podcast is called Permission to be Powerful, and we want to give people power back. So, tell us a little bit about that passion and what really motivates you.
I really love that name for a podcast. It's epic. So well done there. Well, what motivates me? I mean, there's so many things that I think people just have no idea about, right? Like perfume and cologne, for one, contain a synthetic chemical known as phthalates, pH, phthalates, and that lowers testosterone in men and lowers sperm count and damages hormones. So for women as well, damages the endocrine system. So there's so many men around at the moment like wanting to take testosterone supplements and boost their testosterone, which is epic, which is great, but like, are people actually looking at why their testosterone is low to begin with? And one thing that I'm really passionate about is not consuming seed oils in our diet, like canola, corn seed, cottonseed, rapeseed, soybean oil, all of those oils, and margarine and Nuttelex, by the way, is still seed oils. It is terrible for you. And lots of babies are fed formula. Like even when I gave birth to my oldest son, they gave me formula sachets like in the hospital. And it wasn't a very supportive environment in terms of like long-term breastfeeding. So yeah, like a lot of people's hormone systems are like just destroyed. A lot of women have endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, long and very painful periods, like so much fertility problems. And I think most people have no idea that the chemicals they use on their skin, perfumes, makeup, skincare, like shampoo and conditioner, cleaning products, etc., if they're dyed with coal tar dyes and have synthetic fragrances. Like I was at my Pilates studio this morning and walked into the bathroom, and there's an air freshener in there that literally has a warning on it saying flammable, and that's the shit they spray in the air in the bathroom, and then we breathe that in, and it causes asthma, allergies, skin conditions, all these things, migraines, headaches, etc. And people just like tolerate being fucking poisoned on a daily basis, and it shits me to tears. I hate getting in an Uber and then they've got that fucking air freshener thing like stuck to the dash, and I'm forced to breathe that shit in. It chokes me out. And yeah, so I'm passionate about educating people to replace that with actual pure plants, essential oils that are from plants, because there's a lot of synthetic essential oils as well, unfortunately, because you can smell amazing and super sexy and have like a really nice cologne or perfume that's just made from 100% plants, and then you're actually supporting your emotions and supporting your hormones and your health, rather than not only shunting your own but damaging other people as well. For me, like I'm on the autism spectrum, like I mentioned, I'm particularly sensitive to synthetic smells, but it does affect everyone. Like fragrance is the new secondhand smoke. So that's one of the many things that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, cool. So guys, drop the cologne, and girls as well, because it's playing with your endocrine system. And if for those of you listening aren't really aware that is, I really highly recommend you do some research on the systems of your body. I've got a poster behind my computer that has a picture of all the systems and what they look like outside of the body. Endocrine system is, in a nutshell, is a system that helps distribute and create and pump different hormones around your body. And if you play with that stuff, that's our natural factory, right, Jessie? Like that's the stuff that's going to heal you. That's the stuff that's going to make you feel better, give you cravings, make you want to have sex, make you also like the color of your skin can be affected just by this simple system. And one thing that I noticed that you mentioned there was, well, what I grasped from it is we have this culture of adding shit to fix shit. Like we're going, fuck, okay, cool. So somebody's got a testosterone problem, and I'm a big fan of stripping back. And I don't do that as an educator with food, essentially. I do that with people's processes or what they're going on that's around their life. And I also love having conversations, and that's the reason why we started the podcast. But what I gathered from what you mentioned is people are adding, I need a testosterone booster.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine. Like you're more than welcome to do that. But if you're not taking away the things that are lowering your testosterone, then it's like a bit of a waste, right? Like maybe strip that shit back, and then you might still need a supplement because your testosterone has been cooked from all the poison you've been using your whole life. But strip it back and then see where you're at.
So for people that are listening to this, and this is going to call anyone out because this is actually fucking gold information, right? And it's readily available and it's everywhere. If you're listening to the podcast and you're thinking, like, this, mate, is this too hard? I remember the first time I cut out sugar, right? I was like, it's fucking everywhere. Like seed oil, it's in everything until you go back to raw, right? And I had to do that for a while with my own health challenges. But what's some advice that you can give to people that are sitting there right now going, this sounds good, but that's not me?
I mean, it depends how you want to feel. Like for me, it's a priority to feel my absolute best. I want to thrive physically and mentally so that I can show up powerfully in my business, so I can show up powerfully in my relationships as a mum, so that I can just feel more joy. Like I want to laugh and dance and play and swim in the ocean and like sleep really, really well and then wake up energized. Like it's a choice. Do you want to wake up and feel like shit every day, or do you want to like feel the best you could possibly feel? And most people don't even know what the fuck that feels like, right? Because they have had toxins their whole life. And it really isn't that hard. Like for men, I encourage them to use something like our Salubel blend or our Balanced Grounding blend. You literally just roll it on. It like takes the same amount of time. I mean, it just means you buy something that you usually buy over here. You just swap it to this thing over here. It's the exact same. Actually, it's way cheaper than the super expensive colognes, but it's the exact same effort. You can buy cologne from David Jones or wherever, or you can buy essential oils and then take the same amount of time to put them on. So I mean, I get that it's something that you have to think about, but once that choice is made, like you're set.
Yeah, and sometimes these processes, which you're explaining, like it is just actually switching something out, and we're not adding something to fix it. This is a process where you go, well, if I'm doing this, we'll just do that, and I fucking love that. You know, it's actually quite a simple process for people. Our culture has been, let's add an extra step, but the problem with most people's life is, from what I'm hearing, is there's too many steps in their process. Let's get things back to where they should be. I'll grab some links off you, so if anyone actually does want to purchase those products, I can chuck them in the chat or in the comment section so you can get access to them. The next question I've got around you is, what would you say that you're particularly good at? Like, what's the thing that you like? Tickets on yourself.
I'm amazing at building belief in people and creating belief in myself. Like I have this relentless kind of vision and ability to fiercely back myself. And I'm pretty aware that there's many people that don't fully have that don't know the value that they have intrinsically in themselves, like that they're born with and that they have right now. So I'm really good at seeing the magic in people and expressing to them the value, the qualities, the attributes that I see that I really value in people, and like bringing that out so that they feel more confident to show up powerfully in their own lives. I'm amazing at creating hype and like building a movement. I mean, I built that movement to stop the Heart Foundation promoting margarine and seed oils as heart healthy like a decade ago. So I was in my very early 20s. And I'm just like, I'm relentless. I just show up. If I care about something, if I'm passionate, I just consistently show up for it, which is, has got me a long way, has brought me a lot of results in my business and life. So that's what I'm good at.
Where do you feel like that? This is a skill set, right? Everything's a skill set, and there is some inherent things that people are born with to an extent, with nature versus nurture argument. Where do you feel like it came from you? Where do you feel like where you got that spark from, and that's your thing?
I definitely wasn't born with it. I was a lazy little shit growing up, and I always like I had this attitude of like, oh, I'm not going to try too hard because like if I fail, then I can just be like, whatever, I didn't fucking care anyway. Like I had this real bad attitude when I was a teenager, young person. So where did that come from? I think because I got so horrifically unwell, and I was so like I was hospitalized 6 times in 2011. I was 38 kilograms, very underweight, like got vomiting bugs constantly. I remember my little sister feeding me one day and having to like sleep on a camping mattress outside my mum's bathroom because I was just sick all night and sick all the time. That happened a lot. So I got so shitted off with like the pain in my life, and I got so just over being poor, being angry, being like anxious, just living in victim. Like it became so boring that I just decided to do whatever it took to move away from that. Like I was just like, I need to commit to making daily steps and choices, and they weren't like huge things. It was just like daily, consistent, small, achievable things. But consistency is the key in the direction of my dreams. And also, I had someone see my potential and build belief in me before I had that belief in myself. And so I'm very aware of the importance of seeing that and mentoring others and people, because prior to this woman seeing and believing and encouraging me, I hadn't really experienced that much in my life. So yeah, when someone really hones in and fully nurtures and develops that in a human, it can really powerfully impact and fully change someone's life.
Yeah, cool. That's a pretty good opinion to have. If you nurture people, you can change their life. And if you don't like your environment, then maybe just start changing some people around your environment, and they'll help you do the work. I think that's the bigger mission.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You mentioned that you were lazy as a teenager. And
Yeah.
lazy teenagers often make great entrepreneurs because they try and find the shortcuts. But what are you particularly bad at?
I'm shocking at housework. I'm shocking at filling in forms. I mean, I'm autistic, so I have low executive functioning skills. That's like making phone calls, filling in forms, doing the shopping, like figuring out what to make for dinner. Um, yeah, paying bills. Like the list of shit I'm bad at is long and detailed. Luckily, I'm in a position where I make enough money to outsource the things that I'm terrible at and pay other humans to do them. But also, yeah, I don't have a butler yet, so I still need to up my game in some areas. I do have a housekeeper and a cleaner, but it's not like they pick up after me daily, so it's a practice to hone that in and get better in those areas.
I'm just gonna throw an extra question in there, but when you say I'm autistic, what's your relationship with that for you? Because it's it's getting more. There's more diagnosis is happening, and there's people that are getting there's spectrums of people where they're high functioning, low functioning. There's all sorts of stuff going on, and some people can go out there and say autism is a disease or it is a dysfunction, and there's all sorts of different language around it. I'd actually just loved it because you're successful when you're making things work. You can outsource. Not everybody can do that, but you can fucking work hard enough to get there if you want to.
100%.
What's your relationship with saying I'm autistic? Because it sounds like you've brought it on as like, okay, fuck, this is who I am.
Yeah, well, it is. I don't believe that you can like fully cure autism. Some people think you can. Maybe you can. I'm like open-minded to everything. But when I was diagnosed with autism, I was 23, and Dr. Michelle Garnett, who works with Tony Atwood, who's one of the world's leading experts with autism, she said to me, Jessie, understand that autism, high functioning Asperger's, is a gift with a set of challenges. And to be honest, when I was diagnosed, it was extremely relieving because it was like, okay, this makes sense as to why I fucking struggled so much socially, as to why I struggled so much with executive functioning, as to why I thought I was dumb as fuck in high school. Like, I failed English, even though I'm a writer and a speaker, and I love writing and speaking. I struggle with auditory processing, that is like hearing what someone is saying and like receiving and processing that in my brain. I struggle with being at a conference or something like that, or teacher front of the room saying things. Like, I learn more from reading and different ways. But for me, it's like a gift. Most people with high functioning autism especially have the ability to hone in on a passion and become so obsessed with it that they like learn everything about it. And so I did that with health and wellness, and I did that with my dōTERRA business, and I did that with the Heart Foundation thing, like just obsessively researching actually saturated fat isn't here to murder us, and seed oils are the culprit of inflammation and heart disease, etc. And so is sugar. So I have seen it as a gift with a set of challenges that once I'm aware of, I have tools and resources to actually support myself with that. Like essential oils really support me with feeling less anxious. I use meditation, I move my body, I make sure that I don't have appointment blocks back to back because that just causes anxiety. I need downtime. I'm able to like understand and manage myself effectively, whereas previous to a diagnosis, I had no fucking clue. So I was just anxious, overwhelmed, several panic attacks a week. It was hard.
Trying to be like everybody else when that wasn't the point. I have a personal theory that I have no research for or scientific backing behind, but I've noticed that there's been an increase, and I had my own challenges with learning through high school as well. So I really resonate with what you're saying. I was like, I'm not so fucking dumb, but I'm also really good at shit and just can get things done better than most people and can lead. So I had my own challenges with the school system. But I have a theory, and I just wanted to get your opinion on it, is I believe the human race is evolving, and we have to evolve to manage what we're doing to the planet, doing to ourselves. And for things to evolve, from my understanding of genetics, is we go through a process of testing where we see whether things are going to work as a species through breeding, of course, through having children. And then all of a sudden we have more autism being diagnosed further. Now, there's an argument that maybe it was always like that. There seems to be more, and it's happening on both ends of the spectrum. So some people are lower functioning and have lots of issues, which is horrible. But then you get the people like yourself who are fucking extremely good at focusing on things and solving the problems of society. So I actually feel like evolution is happening right now with this testing, and we're testing as a people genetically, and we're going to actually get more high functioning autistic people to solve the problems of the world, like your Einsteins of the world and your Teslas of the world, and even Oppenheimer's pretty big in the movies at the moment, but it looks like he had some form of hyper focusing. He's like, no, we're just going to do this, that kind of thing. I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory for sure. I'm open to it. I do feel like some of the most successful and brilliant people in the world definitely have high functioning autism. I think it's also a symptom, though, especially low functioning autism, of like, again, severe toxicity in our environment.
Right.
We've got more vaccines than we've ever had. We've got toxic food supply. We've got toxins in the water. I mean, at birth, they give a lot of babies antibiotics without even asking the parents. It's like, oh, let's just shoot some antibiotics in.
Bad shit. That's fucking.
Yeah, they did that to my son when he was born. I was 19 when I had him, so I had no idea. But yeah, like definitely people, especially with high functioning autism, do have the ability to hyperfocus, and I think will be a part of making massive change. I mean, look at me, like I'm obsessed with teaching people about seed oils and toxicity. And one thing with people with autism as well is they're highly sensitive, like sensory processing, sensory overwhelm is a big thing. So like I said, I'm much more sensitive to toxic chemicals. I'm much more sensitive to fluorides. I'm much more sensitive to a lot of things that are bad for, our health and humanity. And so then because I have that sensitivity, I'm more likely to be aware of it and educate and empower people around that. So whereas I think a lot of neurotypical people might not have that sensitivity and therefore just be like, oh, this is fine, So
Yeah,
I think
cool.
you
So
make
the
some good
problems,
points.
you could say you were created for this, whatever you believe and whatever spiritual plane that comes from, and whatever people listening believe, that there was some form of creation that's put you in this position to actually solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty cool. And that's just
I
an
think so
opinion.
too. I like that.
Okay, so next question. We're going to delve into an opinion of yours. So what's a really strong opinion that opinions change, what you believed when you were 10 and now it's different. But what's a really strong an opinion right have now? It can be similar to what we've talked about or something completely. It could be socio-economic. It could be anything. What's something right now that you have an opinion on? It can be polarizing. It can go along with other people. We just want to dig into the depths of like, what's real for you right now?
What's real for me right now, and this is, I don't know, this is an interesting one, is that I see so many people that want to create success in business and in their lives that say that they want it and then just do not do the work to make that a reality for themselves. And that really frustrates me because I see potential in people and I see what people are capable of, but I can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves, right? So that for me is something that I struggle with, to watch people just like working a job they hate or, not achieving much in their business, knowing that it's like, it's not even that hard to achieve success. Like imagine if they did a reel or showed up on stories and like shared their story and what they're passionate about every single day and like spoke at events and went to networking events and put themselves out there. Like these aren't huge things. Even if you have a day job, you can show up to the degree on a daily basis, but they just don't. So yeah, that's a strong opinion. Most people are like playing at 1% of their potential, I would say, and it's hard to watch.
You find it hard to watch, yeah. So tell me, let's just dig down into this is as a macro opinion. I actually have a similar opinion. I'd love to know why you think that is, and when you look at a person like that, is it all love, like you're like, I just want to help you, or is there sometimes some judgment about like, hey, like maybe it's time to start doing these things? Like, what does it mean for you to have that view currently?
It's definitely judgment. I think every human has judgment. Like one of my other unpopular opinions is that judgment is a highly necessary thing as a human to actually like have discernment and keep you safe. So I'm never about this like, oh love, like I love everyone, come fuck up my life. Like I'm a very discerning person and definitely judgmental, and that is intrinsic to my safety and well-being. Back to the question, I haven't like fully mastered how to help people see what they're playing out and overcome it. Like, I've got lots of tools and skills and it helps some people. And then there's these other people where I'm just like, the fuck, man, like you could have a totally different life and you're saying you want this, but you're not doing the work. So yeah, any tips on how to get people to overcome that and like actually slap down what they say they're going to do? I mean, why they're doing this, why I believe is that as a society, we're conditioned to play small, right? Tall poppy syndrome is a fucking huge thing in this country. Like, I have experienced it a lot. People taking jabs, taking shots, talking shit about me. So it's scary to become successful and know that people are going to talk shit about you. You know, the whole system is designed to like keep people small and keep people like trapped financially, like mortgages increasing exponentially, rent increasing exponentially, food and fuel prices increasing exponentially, and along with that, wages are not increasing exponentially. So I think people are highly financially stressed, but they do have, like, I have a model and a vehicle that can help people free themselves financially, and I know people know that, and then I see them just, some people like do the work consistently and just show up hardcore for it. I'm like, yes. And then so many other people say they want it, and then they'll do like one social media post and then a month later do another one. It's like, that's not enough, man. People need to hear your story until you're bored to tears of telling it. I've told my story for 9 years and it continues to empower people.
Keep telling your story. So with any, like with the people that are listening, we do similar types of work, and that's the thing that you shared. Like, you have a vehicle, and I know that vehicle works because I've seen plenty of people be successful with it. It's the same as there's an Magic as a vehicle. It's the same as like there's all these models. There's all these ways to get financially free. Some are fucking way harder than others. Like, working a job is probably the hardest one. So some people love that. If you love your job and that's what you do, then that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
What I found to be frustrating about people now is the noise around becoming an entrepreneur or a business owner or becoming a speaker. And I only had my own realization last week. I was like, fuck, maybe I'm not ever going to be as big as Gary Vee. And that's probably going to be cool, because if I just get as big as Tyler, then it's going to be fine. And that was a moment I was like, fuck, I'm 35. I always thought I was going to be famous. And that's where I was falling short. I'm like, I just need to be now, right? And I've still been pretty successful. But with people that are saying they want to do the work and then they don't want to do it, and your situation, shit got bad enough, right? You're like, fuck this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And what breaks my heart and what I'm hearing through what you're saying is you're like, why aren't they doing it? And you're looking at them going, I can tell you how, I can literally give you the words to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I can give you the process on how to post on social media, and anybody who hasn't used social media as a vehicle, like, if you use it properly, you can easily make $100,000 a month if you know how to deliver the product. It's not that hard if you're willing to put the effort in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you'd probably agree with that. Like, you could probably make more if you know how to use it properly. And it takes time. That's not something that's going to happen straight out the gates, although it does. But these people that aren't doing the work, do you think it's not bad enough yet? Or do you think the tall poppy syndrome you mentioned, so people get cut off at the knees? What do you think this social issue is around, hey, you can have more than what they've offered you. You've been told your whole life you can have whatever you want. You can be whatever you want to be, which I also don't believe, because there's certain things you can't be. But what do you think's going on there? Like, what do you think it is that is stopping that person from going, fuck, just do the work?
I think people really care about what people think about them, number one. And yeah, putting yourself out there is scary. Showing up consistently is scary. Like, for me, I would rather do hard shit now, and in the last 9 years, especially in the beginning, first few years, I would rather do that hard shit than live the rest of my life hard, working a job that I hate, making very little money, really. Like, most jobs, you are very capped at your salary. But I think people would rather the other hard than have to deal with what people might say about them, even though people are going to talk shit about you either way. Like, you got a day job and whatever, they're still going to talk shit about you, but they will talk more shit about you if you build a network marketing business to multiple 6, 7 figures and beyond. That's the reality. So I think people are trapped in being consumed by what other people think, or like wanting to please their parents, but I don't really know. Like, I would love to actually like sit down. I don't feel like people fully truthfully share, which is a hard thing as well. It's like, oh, why aren't you say you want to build a business, why aren't you showing up regularly on social media and like running workshops and stuff? Oh, I'm just really busy at the moment. Like, bullshit. It takes like me less than 10 minutes a day to create a reel every day. Like, I mean, it's a 90-second reel. Like, film it and then post it. You know, showing up in stories is just like sharing what you're literally doing in the moment with the camera. So yeah, it'd be great if people were more honest, and then we could like really come to the crux of it and maybe help them work through it. And what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with the honesty piece. I think people have a problem with the schooling system, the university system, and mainstream marketing has caused people to think that there's this level of perfection that they have to reach before people will buy something for them. And I think we went through, and I might have the years wrong, but 60s, 70s, 80s, where we went back to wanting to buy from people and from people's stories. And then through late 80s, early 90s, 2000s, 2010s up until now, people have been wanting consistency in their life. So they want to go buy a hamburger that's the same every time. Whereas if you go to the cafe on the corner, the meat might be cooked a little bit better next time. And that's programmed the entire society to think that they need to become this huge conglomerate magnet to make this money. Like, it fucking blows my mind that somebody can live happily on 50 grand a year. Like, I don't get that that's what we're doing to people. Like, it drives me insane that people go, I just landed a job at 60,000 a year. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, what are you working? 40 hours a week? Like, that's fucking slavery.
Yeah, how the fuck are they even paying rent with the rental prices on the Gold Coast,
It's
especially?
completely unfair that this is like, hey, here's a system, this works. Go out and do it. Be a good boy or girl. Like, that's what you're told, right? Get your job, get your career. And I did it at the start, but I went, fuck, I need to be leading right now because I just need that extra 10,000. I need to do this. I need to do some cashies on the weekend. Some people are born like that, raised like that, whatever it is. And then other people are doing, here's a fucking opinion. If you're doing everything that you were told to do, right? You're told to do these things, right? This is the way you do it. And it's not working. Ask some fucking questions. Like, start there. Just like, my opinion on this is like what you're sharing is they're doing what they're told to be doing, and they're showing up on social media, but they're turning up with an employee mindset. Like, if I do it once, then my manager, who doesn't exist, will come along and tell me what to do next.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Ask questions. I believe.
Yeah, and I think the thing that you spoke into about perfection is so real, but what I'm seeing is that people want the realness, they want the authenticity. I think that's actually one of the reasons I've been so successful, because people are like, fuck, if this autistic chick with like clearly severe social anxiety and significant challenges in her life can show up and share what's worked for her, share what's worked for her kids, shares what worked for others, and like build a business somehow, then maybe I can too. And that's why people have and continue to join me and be mentored by me, because they feel my authenticity and realness. So, but I think, you know, people like do that and then they forget somehow that like I show up imperfectly all the time. They still think that they have to be perfect. Not everyone. Like, I work with some incredible people, even brand new people that started 2-3 weeks ago with me, that are showing up majorly consistently and crushing it already. I just want to like make that possible for everyone.
For everyone. Do you think that's possible for everyone?
100%. Absolutely. Like, definitely.
So I actually think that not everybody has the opportunity to be happy. And that's something that actually, it breaks my heart. But I think that some people are going to be on this journey. And if you're listening and this is you, fucking prove me wrong, I dare you. Because that's all I want. But if you're unhappy right now and you're not willing to ask questions and change, and, you know, if you can't run a business and you see an MLM model, which is a model of where you, it's similar to what you offer, so dōTERRA, and that's a vehicle right now, fucking do it. Because it's easy, it works for some people. At least just give it a go. Like, just do everything you're told to do for 6 months and have a good relationship with feedback.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if everyone gave it a year minimum, they would see results. 100%. I think what you said is correct. Like, the thing is, everyone can do it. Not everyone will. That is the reality. And I've just got to kind of like have peace with that, and then continue to show up and work with the ones that are willing to work through the perfectionist shit, the society shit, the tall poppy syndrome shit. Like, I love to use tapping, emotional freedom technique, to help people break through blocks and limiting beliefs. But yeah, the reality is everyone can, not everyone will. And not everyone is designed to be an entrepreneur. Like, that's the reality of it as well. When I started my business when I was 23, I was just like, anyone can do this. Everyone can create 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures. Reality is not everyone will. They aren't willing to get super uncomfortable on a daily basis, because pretty much everything in this business is outside of my comfort zone. Like, that's the reality.
Outside your normal human behavior, I believe, well, I've got addicted to it, for pushing myself outside of it, and to like, this feels super uncomfortable. That probably means it's going to work. And most entrepreneurs should share with me the same thing. It's like, you just got to, like, I don't want to fucking show up all the time. The reason why I created this podcast in the first place is because I want to have real conversations like this. And I got sick of inauthentic content that I was trying to create just because I was trying to show up. Yeah. So for me, it was like, where do I find the realness in this? Where do I find the bits where we can have the curly conversations? And I'm going to have people on here with opinions that I'm not going to agree with. And I'm looking forward to those constructive arguments when they come up. So somebody who completely disagrees with you on this opinion, and I'm just going to try and paraphrase your opinion. Your opinion is that everybody has the opportunity to be successful. You have a vehicle that can do it. We've spoke about that there's thousands of ways that you can be successful, and not everybody is going to be the right person for somebody, but everybody has, to a degree, with some neurodiverse stuff could prevent you from doing things. But to a degree, most people have the ability to be able to become financially free, abundant, a business owner, if they can have a good relationship with you doing it wrong, feedback, and not be like, that means I'm a fucking failure. You can bring yourself outside the tall poppy syndrome and realize that the people who are trying to hack you down don't actually have swords. They just have tissues because they're sad with what they're doing. If you can get yourself outside of that, then success is imminent. All you have to do is keep going. Somebody who completely disagrees with that, go.
They believe that it's only possible for other people, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is just bullshit. That's such a I used to think like that. I remember in high school actually being so jealous of like people that have money and just being like fucking silver spoons in their mouth, like projecting all this judgment all over them. And I literally had this belief that wealthy people were either born into wealth, which is like dumb as fuck, right? Like where those wealthy people come from. Or they were born ridiculously talented. Like, you have to be like an Olympian or an amazing singer or have some like amazing talent, right? Which is total fucking bullshit. Like, I think most of the successful people in the world, there's so many talented, ultra talented people that aren't successful because they don't back themselves and show up consistently for it, right? Like Ed Sheeran, we look at Ed Sheeran, I watched the documentary. He would do 3 shows a fucking night. He has journals and journals of him like writing down his whole career plan, like mapped out how he was going to become huge and successful. He would do a show, jump on the tube, do another show and sell his CDs out of his rucksack. Whereas other people that wanted to like break the music industry and make it were doing 1 show a week, you know? So
yeah, that's
tangent there, but
no, it's a good tangent. That's an interesting thing, right? So I read a statistic, listened to it. I don't know where information comes from anyway. There's so much video content, but it's less than 10% of Americans that are millionaires inherited their money. It's all self-made, less than 10%.
Wow.
So it's like more around the 3% actually inherited enough money to become a millionaire, which is fucking staggering.
That's dope.
Right? So they're all self-made, most of these people, and they're not going out there being born into it. I had a similar belief. That's not me. I'm going to work and maybe I might get a house and maybe I might get a couple of investment properties. That's who I'm going to be. And then I went to do the model that I was taught and I was like, this is fucking shit. I can't do this anymore. But I think I was naturally born with a business entrepreneur mindset. That's what I like to do. And I've always been playing. And if it's less than 10%, then all of those other people that we're talking about, which, you know, you think about the amount of millionaires in America at the moment, it's actually a lot, then all of those people overcome what you're talking about. And there's something that happened there. And you've mentioned belief, somebody believing in themselves. So like that points to the direction that it's really important for mentorship. If you can't find a mentor that will do it for free, and there's two things, there's a coach and a mentor, right? So a mentor often will work with you for free or for a little bit of money, and they're kind of guiding you along the process. But I don't believe they're 100% committed to your journey. They're doing a little bit for themselves because they want to feel like they've made it and they want to help people. And I think it's a beautiful thing to do. And then there's a coach or somebody that you come into a business model with, similar to what you do, similar to what I do, where it's like you pay a fee and this person then is then financially fully invested into your success. And so there are two things that you can do. And by the way, whether you do that with myself or with you or with any fucking coach on earth, do your due diligence, see whether the people can get results and all that kind of stuff, proof of work. But it doesn't matter who it's with. People will have payment plans for you. People will help you out. Anyone that you come to and say, I need this, will go, here's my free content. Go on fucking YouTube. Like, the skill sets are all out there for you to learn. All you have to do is take the step. So the excuse is in, right? The excuse is in that step that you spoke about. It's like, what happens in between? In my head, I got like baby Poppy. And then we all become the same size. And then there's this tall Poppy that comes out. What happens past that? Because in that point between where you're the same as everybody else and when you're the tall Poppy and people are still seeing you, to now you're somebody that people look up to, there's this gap in between that I personally believe that you can only fill by learning skills from someone else and doing a lot of research. And I definitely don't think you can find it at fucking university.
100%. It's interesting what you just said about the tall poppy thing. That just brought something up for me, because I actually believe, as of right now, that the tall poppy and the person that people look up to are the same fucking thing, right? Like, some people are going out trying to cut this person down, but there's some people over here that are like, wow, I'm so inspired by you. I want to learn from you. You're fucking amazing. But these people, the cutted down people, are so loud and vicious and hateful that, like, for me, what happened anyway, I'll show what happened for me, is that I stopped, like, I shrunk and I started playing small and I stopped showing up because I was focusing on these dickheads over here instead of the people over here that were actually like inspired, like, thank you, we want to learn from you, we want to come to your events. So yeah, it's just interesting.
Quote of the day, don't focus on the dickheads.
Yeah, it does not serve you well, trust me.
Oh, all right, we're going to change gears a tiny little bit. It's the worst piece of advice that you've ever been received or been given.
I had someone tell me to be more like Gandhi. Yeah, if I swore less, if I was less, aggressive, if I
They
was
use the words Gandhi?
Yes. They told me to be more like Gandhi and I would get better results in business, and I'd be put on stages if I was more like Gandhi.
Was this person successful?
No.
Cool.
Corporate.
So there's another great piece of advice for the community is only listen to advice from people who are doing what you want to do.
100%.
All right. On the flip side, what's the best piece of advice you've received and why has it been so impactful for you?
I think I think a lot of people see success as like having to do these big, hectic, like genius things that just seem unachievable for most people, but it's actually just small, simple steps. So one of the mentors that I continue to learn from and listen to is just all about taking those daily steps. Like, if you are super unfit and you want to become fit, you don't start with running a 10K marathon. You start with walking 500 steps a day, 1,000 steps a day, 10,000 steps a day, and then maybe you break into a slow jog and jog a kilometer one day, and then you build up over time. But it's just really, honestly, small steps consistently that make the biggest difference in your life.
Cool. Yeah, that's great advice. And we're going to wrap up now. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with the listeners or with myself? Is there anything that's just sitting on your heart that you want to reach out?
I mean, I would just love so much if you have something that you want to share or that you want to do in life, that you had the courage to go and do that, and that you don't worry about what your parents think or what other people think or what people are going to say, but you know intrinsically that what you have to share is going to make a difference to people. It's going to provide value to the world, because anyone that's coming from inspiration, that's coming from passion, has either a product or service that's going to make a difference. So when you don't share that, you're robbing people of the opportunity to receive that value. And when you do share that, it's an invitation. People can say yes or no, but at least you've given them the opportunity. You haven't robbed them of the opportunity to be benefited and receive the value of what you have to offer. So be courageous and go and share.
Cool. Be courageous. It's cool. I think that's on Ted Lasso recently. He's like, oh, be curious, different mindset. Anyway, thanks very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. How can people get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more about your business or even just about your venue? Is there any way that they can add you on social media or?
Definitely. My name is Jessie Reimers. So on Instagram, it's Jessie, JESSIE _Reimers, REIMERS. The venue is Focal House. So you can look that up on Instagram as well. I'm also on Facebook, YouTube. My website is www.getafreshstart.com.au.
Cool.
Feel free to get in touch. I'd love to hear from you.
Reach out. All right. Cheers, guys. And we'll see you next episode.